They rerouted a river right into my backyard. I stepped outside for 5 minutes, and when I came back, my daughter was screaming that water was pouring into our basement. And standing on the other side of my fence, smiling like he'd just won the lottery, was the HOA president who caused it. I bought this place 8 years ago because of that creek. That's it. Not the granite counters, not the finished basement, not the big garage that everyone in the listing seemed obsessed with. Nope. It was the creek. I'm a hydraulic engineer. That means I design how water flows through cities. Storm drains, levees, culverts, natural waterways, you name it. I live in a world where gravity, slope, and velocity are king. I've been fixing other people's water problems for 20 years. And I know one thing. You can't fake natural flow. When I saw that little stone-lined creek winding along the back of this property, untouched, flowing exactly where the original engineers designed it to go 50 years ago, I knew this was home. I'll never forget the first day we saw it. Anna was walking the lot, making notes about where she'd put her garden. The kids were little then. Lucas was 4, Emily barely 2. Emily spotted the water first. "Daddy, there's a river." I grinned. "A creek, sweetheart. Come see." We followed it down. The banks were a little overgrown, but the flow was clear, strong. I pulled out my phone. Sure enough, the county drainage map still showed this as an official storm channel, part of the system that protects this whole side of town from flooding. I knew right then that whoever built these houses decades ago counted on this creek. It wasn't decorative, it was functional and vital. Of course, that didn't stop the previous owners from letting it go wild. When we moved in, the backyard was a jungle, old fencing falling down, half a rusted swing set, random chunks of brick dumped along the bank. That first summer, it became my obsession. Every weekend, while Anna worked in her garden, I was clearing brush, reinforcing the bank with proper stonework, stabilizing the slope. Lucas loved helping. We ran little flow tests together, measured velocity at different points, calculated runoff during storms. He still brags that he can read a flow meter better than half my interns. Emily just loved the life around it. Frogs, dragonflies, herons, that little ecosystem became her playground. I'd look out my office window and see her crouched by the water for hours, telling stories to whatever creature was nearby. At night, after the kids were in bed, Anna and I would sit on the little terrace I built by the bank, string lights overhead, glass of wine in hand, listening to the creek murmur past. It became our sanctuary, and over the years it became more than that. It was where we hosted summer parties, taught the kids about ecosystems, escaped when life got too loud. That creek was woven into the fabric of our family. And here's the thing. Professionally, I knew how important it was to this entire neighborhood. I'd seen the drainage models. Without this flow path, stormwater would have nowhere to go. The low-lying lots to the north would flood first, then the main street, then the lower cul-de-sacs. But nobody cared about that. HOA certainly didn't. See, our house technically isn't part of the HOA. It's grandfathered, old property line, predating the subdivision. We share a border with the neighborhood, but we're outside their control. At least we used to be. The first time I crossed paths with Gregory Hale, the new HOA president, was 2 years ago. He came knocking with a clipboard, flashy smile, talking about landscape uniformity and community aesthetics. "I just wanted to introduce myself," he said, eyeing my backyard over my shoulder. "We've got big plans for the neighborhood." "Good for you," I said, "but we're not in the HOA." He kept smiling, but something flickered in his eyes. "Oh, of course, but we do hope you'll want to participate voluntarily. Everyone should have pride in our community spaces." I nodded politely and shut the door. After that, I didn't think much of it. But over the next year, little things started changing. HOA newsletters started referring to the area behind our lots, including my creek, as common natural space. They started running work crews down the shared fence line without notice. And at one meeting, Anna heard this from a friend who lives 2 streets over. Gregory apparently floated the idea of beautifying the rear greenway to make the neighborhood more attractive to buyers. Beautifying. That word set off every alarm bell in my head. I pulled the latest county drainage reports, checked the HOA's own public maps. That creek was still designated as an active stormwater channel. Tampering with it wasn't just a bad idea, it was illegal without proper permitting and hydrological review. So I sent a friendly email to Gregory, attached the maps, reminded him that any changes to the creek could have serious consequences, not just for us, but for the entire subdivision. He never replied. I should have pushed harder. I thought my warning had been enough. I thought they'd leave it alone. But I was wrong. Very, very wrong. The first time they really crossed the line, it looked like nothing. That's what pissed me off the most. It was subtle, on purpose. One Saturday morning, I'm out back pruning the willow that hangs over the creek. Emily's nearby, chasing butterflies with her little net. That's when I hear voices and engines. I look up. 2 landscaping trucks parked right along the HOA fence line, and who's standing there, arms crossed like a general surveying a battlefield? Gregory Hale. I walk over. "Morning," I say. "What's all this?" "Oh, hey, Eric," he says, all smiles. "We're just doing some much-needed cleanup along the rear greenway, clearing brush, removing invasive species, making it look nice for the community." Community. I glance at the work orders one of the guys is holding. They say riparian clearing, not just brush cleanup. They're taking out bank vegetation, stuff that stabilizes the creek. I see it immediately. "You can't do that," I tell him. "This is an active drainage channel. You remove too much, you destabilize the banks, you'll cause erosion." Gregory waves it off. "Oh, don't worry, we've got it under control. We had a landscaper look at it." A landscaper? Jesus. "Gregory," I say carefully, "you need an environmental permit to touch that bank. It's on county record. You start messing with it, you're opening yourself up to serious fines." His smile gets tighter. "Well, Eric, we're just cleaning up our side. Anything that happens on your property is, of course, your responsibility." I wanted to deck him. Instead, I called Anna, told her to take photos of everything. I walked the line myself. Sure enough, they'd already stripped 30 feet of native grass and sedge. That stuff holds the bank together during floods. Without it? The next big storm, the creek was going to run wild. I sent Gregory another email, this time less friendly. Attached state regulations, quoted chapter and verse about protected waterways, told him to cease and desist immediately. His response? Radio silence, but 2 days later, Emily came running in crying, "Daddy, they cut down my willow branches." I ran out. The lowest branches on her favorite tree, the one she always played under, were gone, chopped clean, on my side of the property line. I stared at the stump marks, then at the fence where a bright new sign had appeared. HOA Beautification Zone, ongoing improvements in progress. They weren't just cleaning up, they were claiming the space. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. At first I thought maybe that was it. They'd made their point, I'd made mine. Maybe they'd back off. Yeah, right. 2 weeks later, we had our first big spring storm, one of those classic Midwestern downpours where the rain hits sideways and the gutters overflow in minutes. I was at my desk going over a project when Lucas came barreling into my office. "Dad, the creek's going crazy." I ran outside with him. What I saw made my stomach drop. The water was roaring, not flowing, churning brown and high, foaming over the stones I'd spent years placing. Worse, it wasn't staying in the channel. It was spilling. Hard. The section where Gregory's crew had stripped the banks, already caving in, mud and debris pouring down, and all that extra flow? Guess where it was going? Right onto my property. I sloshed through ankle-deep water to the back fence. That bright red beautification zone sign was still hanging there, mocking me, and right beyond it, I saw what they'd done. They'd dug a shallow trench, practically a mini canal, trying to redirect part of the creek away from their lots. But instead of improving drainage, they'd turned the whole thing into a funnel, pointed straight at my yard. Anna ran out with her phone, snapping pictures. "We need to document this," she said. "Now." By the time the rain stopped, a good third of our backyard was underwater. The lower part of the garden, gone. Emily's stepping stones, washed out. And in the basement, 2 inches of standing water. Lucas and I spent half the night with the shop vac trying to stay ahead of it. Next morning, I emailed Gregory again, this time CCing the entire HOA board. Attached photos, video, maps. Explained exactly how their little beautification project had violated state water regulations. His reply? 1 line. "As you are not an HOA member, your concerns fall outside our jurisdiction." Translation? Screw you. I couldn't believe it. They'd redirected a waterway, caused property damage, and now they were pretending it wasn't their problem. But it got worse. That afternoon, we got a notice in our mailbox from the HOA, even though we're not members. Formal notification. You are in violation of neighborhood aesthetic standards due to unsightly erosion and water damage visible from common areas. No joke, they were fining us for damage they caused. Anna was livid. "This is harassment," she said. "You need to fight this." She was right, but first, I needed more proof. I spent the next week pulling every official drainage map I could get. The creek was clearly marked, official stormwater channel, protected corridor. I even found the original engineering report from the subdivision's approval. And you know what else I found? A clause stating that no modifications to natural drainage features may occur without city engineering approval and state environmental review. Gregory hadn't just bent the rules, he'd shattered them, but he wasn't done. A few days later, I came home to find survey stakes in our side yard, right along the creek. HOA crew out there with measuring tape and clipboards. I walked out. "What do you think you're doing?" One guy shrugged. "HOA's rerouting the creek, new landscaping project." I saw red. "You can't touch this channel, it's protected." Gregory strolled up then, sunglasses on, that smug little smile on his face. "Oh, Eric, I think you're confused. This is common greenway now. The HOA board voted." "Overriding state law?" I asked. He didn't answer, just gave me a little wink. That night, Anna and I sat at the kitchen table going through every document we had. "This isn't just negligence anymore," she said. "It's intentional." She was right. They'd escalated, and it was time for us to escalate too. At this point, Anna and I had a choice: lawyer up and go nuclear, or try one last time to do it the right way. We chose option 2. I'm a systems guy. I believe in process, in logic, in fixing things before they break worse. Anna's the same way. So the next morning, while the kids were at school, we sat down and built a game plan. First stop, City Hall. I booked an appointment with the municipal engineering office, took every map, every drainage report, every photo we had. Anna helped organize it all into a clean packet. When we got there, we met with a city engineer named Victor. Nice guy, mid-50s, been in the job forever. I laid it all out: the unauthorized creek modifications, the redirected flow, the erosion, the damage. Victor frowned the whole time. When I showed him the clause from the subdivision approval about protected drainage features, he whistled. "They can't do that?" he said flatly. "That's a major violation." Finally, someone who got it. But then came the catch. Victor rubbed his temples. "Unfortunately, enforcement here is tricky. The city doesn't proactively monitor HOA projects. Unless a formal complaint is filed and processed, they tend to fly under the radar, and by the time we act, the damage is usually done." I asked him what we could do. "File a complaint," he said, "with my office and with the State Environmental Board. The more documentation you have, the better." Done. Anna and I spent the next 2 nights filing those reports. I attached flow data from our sensors, time-stamped photos of the trenching, video of the flooded yard. I even used some of my professional contacts to get an informal opinion letter from a hydrologist, confirming that what they'd done would absolutely increase flood risk downstream. Then we waited. And while we waited, Gregory kept pushing. Another letter arrived. "Final notice. Failure to correct visible yard damage and erosion will result in additional fines and potential legal action by the HOA." Anna slammed it on the table. "He's trying to intimidate us." But I wasn't going to bite. Not yet. Instead, I called Gregory directly. Put it on speaker with Anna recording. He answered like he'd been expecting my call. "Ah, Eric, I hope you've received our notice. We do need to maintain a consistent aesthetic standard." "Gregory," I said calmly, "you're violating state and city codes. I've filed formal complaints. You're exposed." He chuckled. "Eric, I think you're overreacting. The board voted. The neighborhood supports this project. Maybe it's time you got with the program." I kept my voice even. "You're going to be liable, personally, for the damage you've caused." Another chuckle. "Good luck proving that. And Eric, if you escalate this, well, let's just say your family might find it harder to live peacefully here." That did it. Anna's face went white. I clenched my fist so hard my knuckles popped. I ended the call, sat there for a minute, breathing, then looked at Anna. "No more nice guy," I said. But before we went to war, we had one more shot, the HOA board itself. Anna helped me draft a formal letter requesting a hearing, allowed under their own bylaws. We copied every board member, included all our evidence. The letter was polite, firm, logical. The board scheduled the hearing. Probably because they had no choice. When we showed up, it was standing room only. Half the neighborhood had heard about the flooding. Some of them had started noticing their own drainage issues. A few even came up to us before the meeting, whispering support. Gregory opened the meeting with his usual smile, thanked everyone for coming. Then he launched into a slideshow about the beautification project. Not one mention of the flooding. Not one word about the damage. When it was my turn, I stood up with Anna beside me. I walked the board through everything. The maps, the legal clauses, the before and after photos, the video of the backyard underwater. I kept it professional. No shouting, no insults, just facts. When I finished, the room was dead silent. Then Gregory leaned forward, still smiling. "Well, Eric, while we appreciate your passion, I must remind you, you're not a member of this HOA, and therefore this board has no obligation to address concerns from outside parties." Translation? Screw you. Again. A couple board members looked uncomfortable. One even asked if maybe they should pause the project pending review. Gregory shut it down fast. Then he called for a vote to continue the project as planned. Of course it passed. That was it. The end of the line for peaceful options. As we left the meeting, Anna squeezed my hand. "It's time," she said. I nodded. I was done playing nice. Now it was time to fight back. I'll be honest. After that board meeting, I felt sick. Not because we lost the vote, I expected that. Because it finally sank in, Gregory wasn't some clueless HOA volunteer who'd gotten in over his head. He knew exactly what he was doing. The guy was slick. Too slick. The way he kept dodging legal language, the way he shut down his own board members, the way he smiled through that whole damn meeting. It didn't feel like a landscaping project anymore. It felt like a setup. That night, Anna and I sat on the couch going through every document we had. Again, I was looking for anything we'd missed. And that's when Anna said something that changed everything. You know, didn't Helen say Gregory's been working with a developer? Helen's her friend 2 streets over. Big gossip, knows everyone's business. I blinked. What developer? Anna grabbed her phone, started texting. 10 minutes later, she got a reply. Yep, he's been meeting with the Silverbrook Group, wants to pitch them on a redevelopment plan for the HOA-owned Greenway parcels. I sat up straight. Silverbrook Group. I knew that name. They're one of the biggest land developers in the region, and their specialty? High-end townhomes, the kind that need fancy marketing about restored natural spaces and beautiful water features. Suddenly, it all clicked. Gregory wasn't just trying to pretty up the creek for aesthetics. He was trying to turn it into a selling point, part of a new development deal. I dug deeper, spent half the night pulling public records, business filings, city planning notes, and there it was. A pre-application notice from Silverbrook, filed 2 months ago, requesting informal feedback on a potential proposal to develop a section of the HOA Greenway, including enhanced water features and public access pathways. You know what those enhanced features were? A widened creek with artificial banks, boardwalks, decorative lighting, kayak rentals, and guess what? The documents listed site preparation as already underway, ahead of formal approvals, which meant Gregory had been lying to everyone, even his own board. He wasn't beautifying anything. He was illegally prepping that creek to sell the project upstream to Silverbrook, and once they had their showcase water feature, they damn well need to keep that flow moving, even if it meant flooding out the downstream lots like mine. But the real smoking gun came the next morning. I got an email from a buddy of mine, Steve, works in the city's planning office. I'd asked him to quietly poke around. He forwarded me an internal memo. Subject, Silverbrook Group, HOA Creek modifications. Note, unpermitted work reported. City staff instructed to monitor. Potential violation of state waterway protection statutes. Gregory Hale listed as project contact. Gregory wasn't just playing games. He'd tied his name directly to the project. And if state inspectors got involved, that could mean criminal charges for unpermitted modification of a protected waterway. I read that line 3 times. Criminal charges. Anna looked over my shoulder. Her eyes went wide. "He's screwed," she whispered. I nodded. "If we play this right?" "Yeah, he is." In one night, the whole fight shifted. We weren't dealing with HOA politics anymore. We were dealing with fraud, cover-ups, and potential felony violations. And Gregory Hale was about to find out what happens when you mess with the wrong damn engineer. That morning, sitting there with Anna and that email in front of us, something shifted. I wasn't mad anymore. I was locked in, cold, focused. Gregory thought he'd been running the board, running the neighborhood, running me. He was about to learn he'd been walking straight into a trap. We had the documents, the photos, the state regulations. Now we had proof he was tied to an illegal project and pushing it forward under the radar. But I knew better than to just scream about it online or blast it all over next door. That would give him time to spin it, time to cover his tracks. We needed to hit him hard, fast, public, and in a way he couldn't wriggle out of. So Anna and I sat down, real war room style, and made a plan. First step, get official weight behind us. We forwarded everything, the email, the maps, the photos, to the State Environmental Board, filed an expanded complaint. I attached a personal letter, signed it with my engineering license. When licensed professionals report violations, the state has to take it seriously. Second step, bring in allies. Remember those neighbors who whispered to us at the board meeting? Turns out a lot more folks were getting nervous. Some had already noticed water pooling where it never had before. A few backyards downstream were starting to erode. I started making quiet phone calls. Anna worked her teacher magic and got folks talking. In 2 days, we had a list of 20 households ready to sign a joint complaint. Third step? Control the narrative. If Gregory tried to spin this as a rogue neighbor causing drama, we needed receipts. Anna drafted a timeline, complete with photos and dates. I helped her source old HOA newsletters that showed how Gregory's messaging had shifted over time, from beautification to enhanced water features. And for the knockout punch? We reached out to local media. I knew just who to call, a reporter named Jenna from the regional paper. She'd done a great series on shady developer deals the year before. Anna and I invited her over, laid out the whole story. Jenna's eyes got huge when she read the Silverbrook memo. "You realize," she said slowly, "if this is true, this could blow up big. We're talking fraud, abuse of position, criminal charges." "Exactly," I said. "We're not trying to make noise. We're trying to stop this before more people get hurt." She promised to dig deeper. Fourth step? Watch and document. While the complaints were working through the system, I set up discrete cameras along our back fence, facing only our property and the visible work zone. I wasn't about to let Gregory claim we faked anything. Lucas helped me calibrate them. The kid's a natural. Emily, meanwhile, spent every spare minute sitting by what was left of her Willow. Quiet, watching, like she knew something was coming. Last step? Prepare for public escalation. The next HOA general meeting was 2 weeks away. Anna and I both knew Gregory would try to bury us before then, probably push the board to approve more enhancements fast. So we prepped a full presentation. Maps, photos, the Silverbrook filing, and the state law. Anna practiced delivering it, calm, clear, no drama. I'd step in only for the technical parts. If Gregory thought he could run this from behind the curtain, we were about to rip the whole damn curtain down. I'll never forget what Anna said that night, just before we turned off the lights. "We're not just doing this for us," she said. "We're doing it for everyone down that creek who doesn't even know they're about to get flooded." She was right. And if all went to plan, Gregory Hale's little empire was about to come crashing down. When we rolled into that HOA meeting 2 weeks later, I'll be honest, my heart was pounding. Not from nerves, from focus. This was it. Time to take the gloves off. Anna and I had rehearsed this thing a dozen times. We had our evidence, we had our timeline, we had statements from neighbors, and cherry on top, Jenna, the reporter, was coming too. Not officially, just observing. But Gregory wouldn't know that until it was too late. The meeting room was packed. Word had gotten around. The storm a few days before had flooded another 2 backyards. People were pissed. Gregory strutted in like a king addressing his court, polished, smiling, confident. I caught him glance at Anna and me, then at Jenna in the back. His smile twitched. Good. He opened with his usual spiel, progress on the beautification project, overwhelming neighborhood support, minor drainage concerns being addressed. Bullshit. Then came open forum. Anna stood first, calm, clear. "Before this board proceeds further," she said, "we'd like to present evidence of serious violations tied to this project, and to ongoing damage affecting multiple homes." Gregory tried to cut her off. "This forum isn't for technical—" "We're well within the rules," Anna shot back, "and we'll be brief." She clicked the first slide. Boom! Timeline of the creek modifications. Dates, photos, permits not filed. Next slide. Video from our backyard cam showing erosion, redirected flow, standing water. Next, excerpts from the state regulations, highlighted, no ambiguity. Then, the Silverbrook filing, Gregory's name as project contact. The room went dead silent. I stepped in. Explained, simply, Patan, how the creek's modification had destabilized the drainage system, how further work would increase downstream flood risk exponentially. "Every foot they dig," I said, "puts more homes at risk. This isn't theory, it's happening already." You could feel the shift in the room. Board members started whispering, neighbors murmured, one guy in back stood up. "My backyard flooded for the first time in 20 years last week. You telling me this is why?" I nodded. "Yes, and it's going to get worse if this continues." Another voice, "Gregory, did you know about this Silverbrook deal?" Gregory's smile cracked. "Well, I may have had preliminary discussions, but that's common practice." Anna pounced. "Not when you misrepresent the project to the board, not when you modify protected waterways without permits, not when you expose homeowners to flood risk while pursuing a private development deal." Boom! The room erupted, people yelling, board members trying to regain control. Then, like fate had a sense of timing, one of the assistant city engineers walked in. Victor had tipped me off that they were sending someone tonight. He raised his hand. For the record, city investigation is ongoing. We found evidence of unpermitted work. The state has been notified. Further modification must cease immediately. Gasps. Gregory tried to bluster. This is a smear campaign. These people aren't even HOA members. Victor cut him off. Doesn't matter. You violated state law, and as of this moment, the site is under regulatory review. That's when Jenna stood, flashed her press badge. I'll be covering this for the regional paper. If any homeowners would like to share their experiences after the meeting, I'll be available. You could see Gregory physically wilt. He knew. He was done. But we weren't finished. Anna calmly requested that the board move to suspend the project pending full legal review, and to remove Gregory from any further decision-making related to it. The vote wasn't even close. Board members who'd been backing him folded fast once the city spoke up. Motion passed. Gregory sat there, pale, sweating. The king, dethroned. And me? I just looked at Anna, smiled, and squeezed her hand under the table. The fight wasn't over, but the tide had turned. You'd think after that board meeting Gregory would have backed off. Nope. The man doubled down, sent out some glossy HOA email blast the next morning, calling everything we presented misinformation, claimed the city engineer was misinterpreting standard landscaping practices, said my family was spreading panic. It was almost funny. Almost. But here's the thing, by that point, the dam had already cracked. Neighbors were talking. Hard. The ones who'd been quietly skeptical? Now furious. The ones whose yards had flooded? Absolutely livid. And then came the newspaper. Jenna's article hit 2 days after the meeting. HOA president tied to illegal creek modifications in bid to attract developer deal. It was brutal. Pulled no punches. Laid out everything. The unpermitted work, the flooding, the Silverbrook connection, Gregory's role. By noon, it was all over Facebook. Our local next door exploded. People were demanding answers. Some called for Gregory's resignation. Others wanted legal action. And the kicker? State environmental officials weren't sitting still. The very next morning, 2 state inspectors showed up at the site, in full gear. Anna spotted them first, called me at work. You better get home, it's happening. When I got there, it was surreal. Inspectors walking the banks with clipboards and cameras, measuring equipment everywhere. A small crowd of neighbors gathered behind the tape. And then 2 unmarked cars rolled up, county investigators. Gregory wasn't there, but word spread fast. By mid-afternoon, someone tipped him off. He showed up in a sharp suit, looking like he'd just stepped out of a court hearing. He tried to bluff his way through it. Loud, fake confident voice. I demand to see your warrant. This is private property under HOA jurisdiction. One of the state guys didn't even blink, just handed him a stack of papers. Sir, you're listed as the project contact. This is a protected waterway. We have full authority. Gregory's face went sheet white. Then, and I swear this felt like something out of a movie, one of the county investigators stepped forward, showed his badge. Mr. Hale, I need you to come with us for questioning. There are serious concerns regarding fraudulent misrepresentation to the board and potential violation of state environmental law. Boom. They didn't cuff him, not yet, but they walked him straight to that car while half the neighborhood watched. Someone caught it on video. By dinner, it was viral. HOA president escorted by investigators in Creek scandal, the headline on the local news that night. Anna and I sat on the couch watching it unfold, kids asleep upstairs. I looked at her, still half in disbelief. We actually did it, I said. She smiled. You did it. We all did. She wasn't wrong. The neighbors who spoke out, the reporter who dug deep, the city engineer who backed us up. And yeah, us. The family that just wanted to protect a little creek. It's funny, after all that, the meetings, the floods, the late nights piecing everything together, the victory itself felt quiet. A few weeks later, the state officially ordered all work on the creek halted. The city slapped the HOA with fines. And the Silverbrook deal? Dead in the water. Gregory resigned for personal reasons. He hasn't shown his face at a board meeting since. And us? We got our yard cleaned up. Took some work, soil repair, new plantings. Lucas helped rebuild the stone path. Emily replanted flowers by the Willow. What's left of it, anyway. One evening, a couple months after it all blew over, Anna and I were sitting out back. Glass of wine, kids chasing fireflies, creek running smooth and clear again. Anna leaned over and smiled. Think the HOA's going to be sending us another fine? I grinned. If they do, I'll frame it. We toasted, sat there listening to the water. You know, I used to think of that creek as just a feature, something that made the property nice. Now, it's more than that. It's a reminder. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do is stand your ground and let the water run where it's meant to go.